So in this video we are going to discuss about the stamen, microsporangium and the pollen grains. So here I have given the diagram of a typical stamen. So typical stamen is something that it is a long slender stalk. It has a long slender stalk called filament, and it has a bilobed structure called anther. So this filament actually is attached to the proximal end of the thalamus or the petal. So stamens, that is the number and length of this stamens is variable in flowers of different species. So for every different flower and from every different plant, this number and the length of these stamens actually varies. So if you take for example, if you are going to take a number of stamens from different flowers, or from 10 flowers we are taking 10 different, and if we are arranging it on a board or a slide which is comfortable, and we can see that there is a different size, and it is a very great thing that the nature shows a great variation. So when we take the typical angiosperm, so when we take the angiosperm here, it is a diagram of the typical angiosperm, that is 3-dimensional cut pattern. So this angiosperm anther is bilobed, that is it consists of two theca. This is the line of Devens, that is diagonals which divides, and it has a longitudinal groove that runs over, so it completely runs over the anther to in order to runs the lengthwise separating the theca. So it needs to separate the theca, so it goes with that, and this transverse section, this forms the transverse section of an anther. So this is the transverse section of an anther. I'll show it in the next figure. And here this bilobed nature of an anther is a very distinct in the transverse section. So this bilobed nature of this anther is very distinct in the section, or in the transverse section of the anther. So here anther is something that it is a four-sided tetragonal structure. So it is a four-sided tetragonal structure. It has four sides as we saw in the diagram. So in each side, at each corner, we have microsporangia. That is four microsporangia we will have in each two lobes. So in each lobes we will have a pair of microsporangia. That is four microsporangia will be there at the four of the ends. So this microsporangia further develops and becomes the pollen sac. So these pollen sacs actually extend, so they extend longitudinally along the length of the anther, and they are packed with pollen grains. Now we will discuss about the structure of the microsporangium. So the structure of the microsporangium is nothing but it is circular in nature. So its maximum it appears to be circular in outline. So it doesn't form a complete circle, but a circular in outline. So it consists of four wall layers, that is epidermis, endothecum, middle layers and tapetum. So here epidermis, endothecum and middle layer forms the outer most wall layers. So they perform the function of protection and the dehiscence of anther to release the pollen grains. So in order to release pollen grains, they perform this action. Whereas tapetum is the innermost inner wall layer, that is the inner layer. It nourishes the pollen grains. So the main function of this is nourish. So the cells on the tapetum. So the tapetum has certain cells. The cells in this tapetum has a dense cytoplasm, and it has more than one nucleus. So it has a number of nuclei, and it has the dense cytoplasm. So when the anther is young, that is it consists of a compactly arranged homogeneous cells, which we together call the homogeneous cells together, or it is called as sporogenous tissue. So this tissue is located at the center of the microsporangium. So in each center of the microsporangium there will be sporogenous tissues. Now microsporogenesis. So what is microsporogenesis? So the cells in when the anther gets developed, the cells in this sporangious tissues, sporogenous tissues undergoes mitotic division in order to form the 4 microspore tetrad. So when the sporogenous tissue undergoes mitotic division, it forms meiotic division, when it undergoes meiotic division, it forms the 4 microspore tetrad. So now the cells of the microsporogenous tissues actually gives rise to the microspore tetrad we actually know. So that is it gives out the potential pollen or microspore mother cell, that is PMC, we call it as PMC. So it each one has a microspore mother cell. So this formation of microspores we call it as microsporogenesis. So when the anther undergoes, as the anther develops, the sporogenous tissues undergo meiotic division, and by this meiotic division the formation of microspores occur from the pollen mother cell, and this process we call as microsporogenesis. So when as the anther gets matured, and developed, the microspores dissociate. So this the microspores which are formed dissociate from the pollen grains, and when the development maturation on the dehydrate of the anther starts, it automatically dissociate from each other. So the pollen grains dissociate from each other, microspores dissociate from each other, and this dissociated microspores form out or develop into pollen grain. So inside each microspore there is a number of several thousands of microspores, and or pollen grains are formed that are released with the dehiscence of anther. So now we will discuss what are the things about pollen grains. So the pollen grains represent the male gametophyte. So spherically measuring, it is up to 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. So it is a two-layered wall. The outer hard layer we call it as exine. So this outer layer is made up of sporopollenin, that is the most resistant organic material. Still now no enzyme has been found out which degrades this sporopollenin. So this can withstand high temperatures, strong acids and alkalis. So by this protection, the pollen grains are kept safe when it is having a hard outer layer called exine. So this pollen grain exine has some prominent structures which we call it as germ spores, and this exine exhibits a fascinating array of patterns and designs. So when we take a single pollen grain, it shows a number of sizes, shapes, colors, designs. So we may think that there are specific shapes, but it has a number of so there is a variety of architects in this pollen grains. So the innermost layer, that is it is a thin and continuous layer which we call it as intine. So the outermost layer, outer layer is called as exine, where the inner layer is called intine, and it is made up of cellulose and pectin. So it is made up of cellulose and pectin. So the cytoplasm of the pollen grain is surrounded by the plasma membrane. So this pollen grain, when it matures, it contains two cells. One is called as vegetative and the other is called as generative cell. So the vegetative cell is the nature of the vegetative cell. It will be big. It is an abundant food reserve. So it is an abundant food reserve. It has a large nucleus, but the nucleus is irregular in shape. When we take the generative cell, it is small. It floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. So this generative cell floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. Its shape is spindle. It has a dense cytoplasm and it has one nucleus. So over 60%, if we take this, 60% of angiosperms will have this two cell stage, where the remaining the generative cell. So in the remaining species, this generative cell will divide mitotically, and it gives rise to two male gametes. So it gives out the pollen grains that are shed, which gives the 3-celled stage. So most of the angiosperms will be at that is 60% of the angiosperms will be at 2-celled stage, where the remaining species in which the generative cell will divide mitotically. to give rise to another 2 male gametes before this pollen grain stage, and it becomes the 3-celled stage. So when we take about pollen grains, it is very it causes severe allergy. So certain pollen grains which when we come into contact, it causes, when humans come into contact, it causes allergies, bronchial afflictions like coronary respiratory disorders, even it leads to asthma sometimes. So the mentioned thing is Parthenium, that is carrot grass that has been imported to India along with wheat. It is an ubiquitous in occurrence and it causes completely pollen allergy. It is an example. So carrot grass that is imported by the wheat, which we called as Parthenium, it is a pollen grain which causes allergy to human beings. So the pure pollen grain is nothing but it is rich in proteins. So rich in nutrients. So pollen grains are rich in nutrients. Nowadays it has been a fashion that using pollen tablets in food supplements. So maximum in Western countries they are used in the form of tablets or syrups that are even available in the markets. It is used for improving the performances for athletes and race horses. So it is given to race horses and athletes in order to increase their performance. So when this pollen grains has to be here the pollen grains once shed, so they have to reach the stigma before they lost their viability. So viability is nothing but their ability to bring about the fertilization. So this has to reach. So the pollen grains once they shed, they have to land on stigma. Otherwise there will be no possibility for the further processes. So it has to reach the stigma once they shed. But this viability is highly variable and it depends on plant to plant. So different pollen grains has different viability. So it depends on the temperature or the humidity in which it is located. So for example, rice and wheat, it has only 30 minutes, where we take Rosaceae, Leguminous and Solanaceae, it takes for months. So these pollen grains we may think that then what about then how can we give out rice, wheat, then how it is possible for the its further processes. But there is a thing that we can store pollen grains for years, but in liquid nitrogen for that is under 196 degrees Celsius. So you have to if you store pollen grains under minus 196 degrees Celsius in the liquid hydrogen, it can be stored for years. So this stored pollen can be used as pollen banks, as we use that is similar to seed banks in crop breeding programs. Thank you.